Buddha never answered to any mystical questions. He denied it. He said, there is no point in asking what is God and all those mystical questions. The fact is that you are suffering. Be aware of your suffering. Find out what is the cause of your suffering and end it. His teachings were very pragmatic, existential, nothing mystical about it. So he pointed out that the cause of suffering is craving and ignorance. Now it is very interesting to look at it. What is craving? Because craving is part of life. Desires, we all have desires. We cannot say not to have any desire. But what are those desires which really cause suffering? And as I have understood, craving for something which is non-essential, craving for something which is false, that is usually the cause of suffering. So what could be non-essential? To give a very simple example, I have enough to take care of my basic needs. Enough food, housing, clothes. Now mind is desiring for something more. And it is struggling. Day and night. So till the basic needs are concerned, it is absolutely fine. But when we are running after to become something, just out of habit, because it can become our habit to accumulate more and more beyond our real need, that I feel is craving, which causes suffering. So it is craving for non-essential. Of course, the borderline between essential and non-essential is not fixed. It can be changing. And for each person, it could be different also. So there is no standard for it. One has to find it out. What is essential and what is non-essential? Nobody else can tell you, oh, this is non-essential for you. One has to find out from one's heart, from mind, what is now in my life. I am running after something which is really not going to serve my happiness, but it is going to add stress. So to see, to have this clarity, once mind is clear, then it can see what is non-essential. If I am just thinking about myself all the time and not concerned about people who are close to me, near me, then this excessive thinking is also non-essential. This becomes a self-centered way of living. So that could be a cause of suffering. So can I see that our human existence is in sharing, in cooperation? I can be happy when I can share this happiness with others. So our happiness is not in isolation. It can never be in isolation. I can never be alone happy. It has to be in sharing. And when I'm only asking about my happiness, when this my becomes overpowering sharing, and when I'm only asking about my happiness, When this my becomes overpowering, then this excessive thinking is also non-essential. This becomes a self-centered way of living. So that could be a cause of suffering. So can I see that our human existence is in sharing, in cooperation? I can be happy when I can share this happiness with others. So our happiness is not in isolation. It can never be in isolation. I can never be alone happy. It has to be in sharing. And when I'm only asking about my happiness, when this my becomes overpowering, that is the cause of sorrow. And this craving for non-essential happens when I am not attentive, aware, when I am driven by all these forces of the ego mind. So can I see that essential happens when I am not attentive, aware, when I am driven by all these forces of the ego mind. So can I see that whenever I am driven by this egoistic energy, it is going to be the cause of suffering. And in seeing this clearly, there is a shift. So this clear observation brings clarity in the mind. This is another tool which we can explore. Yesterday we explored the tool of listening, deep listening. Today we can explore this tool of pure observation, which we all have. Observation not outwardly, but also inwardly. And this observation happens from a state of silence, from a state of awareness, which does not depend on past knowledge, on memories, on thoughts. It is the source is life, which is alive here and now. When I am deeply listening, observation is also happening. So awareness, listening, and observation, they are part of the same energy. So usually when I'm observing from the ego mind, from my past images, I am not observing. I am observing only the projections of my mind. So this is the first step, to be aware when I am not observing. When I see a tree, immediately a name comes. So the naming becomes a screen in that observation. When I see a person, my past background comes and is not seeing the person as he or she is, but I am seeing the person through my background. So actually, I am seeing my own projection about that person. I am not actually looking at the person, right? So if I don't observe a person as he or she is, how can I listen to that person? Because I will listen from my particular prejudice, opinion. So the first step is to be aware when listening and observation stop. From this, the next step can happen. First, to be aware, okay, how I don't listen, how I don't observe, and to be aware of it in that moment. My mind is now crowded by all these stories, judgments, opinions about the other person. So these past energies are dominating my listening and observation. So there is no contact happening. But if I see the importance of contact, live contact, without any screen, then shift begins to happen. Because I see it is important to understand the other person. It is important to relate to the other person. And this relating cannot happen as long as I am bound, I am tied to my past knowledge. The knowledge can be there, but I can be aware that there is no need to be so identified and attached to the knowledge, because this identification and attachment to my knowledge is preventing direct relationship with the other. You see the great beauty, the great importance of connecting now, and connecting not only to the other, connecting to oneself also. How I am relating to myself. The quality of my relationship with myself will also determine the quality of my relationship with the other, isn't it? So, can I learn to relate to myself in freedom, in love? Which means, can I look at myself without any prejudice about me? Can I look at myself without any fixed judgment about me? So you see, this work begins with oneself. If I'm not doing it with myself, how can I offer it to the other? Right? In order to relate, freedom is essential. Without freedom, there is no relationship.